Eggplant parmigiana is one of my favorite comfort foods. Those delicious layers of tomato, cheese, and of course eggplant. So today I'll be showing you my best ever recipe. The secret? It's actually pretty easy. You make the eggplant the hero. Let's get into it. All I want you to do is make sure that you cut the eggplant into nice big thick slices. So I'm talking about 2 centimeters wide. That means even after it's been crumbed and packed between the sauce and the cheese, it still holds its own. So once you have your slices of eggplant, the next and really important step is that we're going to salt the bottom of a plate, and then we're going to sit our eggplants in and continue to salt in between each layer. It draws out some of the water from the eggplant, which improves the texture and stops them from soaking up excess oil when fried. So once you feel like you've got a good amount of salt on those eggplants, we're then going to transfer them to a colander. We let them sit for about an hour and a half and just wait until you see how much moisture actually comes out of the eggplant. Next up, the tomato sauce, which is sort of the glue that holds the whole dish together. So first up, heat up a big pan like this, a little bit of oil, and we're going to start off with frying some garlic. Oh, it's so fragrant instantly, and that's what I love. You want to let it get just really lightly golden brown, and you can see it already starting to change color. So let's get our other ingredients in. I've got oregano and chili flakes, and then we add our tomato paste. Whenever you cook with tomato paste, you want to make sure that you give it a minute or two to sort of roast out, and that way you get that really delicious sweetness instead of the bitterness. And then you can go ahead and throw in your passata and 3/4 cup of water. I actually like to pour it into the tomato. You might be using it straight out of a jar, and then that way you don't waste anything. Once this comes up to a simmer, we're going to just give it a stir and then turn it down and let it just slowly bubble away for about 10 minutes. So once our eggplants have had like an hour and a half or so, you can see the eggplants become really quite pliable. That's exactly what you're looking for. Next, we rinse it off, making sure you get rid of all that moisture and salt. The next thing I want you to reach for is some kitchen towel, and we're going to literally layer these up and dry them off. Push down on them. Once you're happy with the amount of liquid that has come out of these eggplants, you can remove the paper. Get ready to start our crumbing process. You need flour, panko breadcrumbs, and Parmesan, and of course some eggs. Here's the little secret. I'm going to use Parmesan and breadcrumbs because the two of those things combined make for a whole lot tastier breadcrumb than just the breadcrumb. It's a real game changer. Now here's a big tip when it comes to crumbing. You keep a dry hand and a wet hand. So I go from a dry ingredient into a wet ingredient. With my wet hand, I pick it up and I go from wet into dry, dry into wet. So this hand never gets wet. This hand only gets wet. It makes putting breadcrumbs on things so much easier. And you can start cooking. Take your eggplant and in it goes. You can see how that Parmesan cheese really gets beautiful and golden really quite quickly. Eggplant really benefits from an elongated cooking time. You want this to really melt when it actually comes out of the oven, so take your time in cooking it. There's no rush. All right, once you get that beautiful golden brown like I have right here, go ahead, remove them, and pop it onto a little paper towel. That's going to take any of that excess oil out, and we rinse and repeat. You just keep that process going until you've got all your eggplant cooked. Now, we're ready for pulling it all together. First up, preheat your oven to 190 Celsius or 170 if you're using fan forks. And get yourself a beautiful baking dish like this. Place a little layer of that tomato sauce in the bottom of your dish. Now comes the fun part, the star of the show, that beautiful eggplant. We just do a single layer. You want as much of it covered as you can. Then we take a little bit more of our tomato sauce. Once you have that tomato over the top, here comes the cheese. I'm going to take about half of my mozzarella and spread it all over that eggplant, and then some of that Parmesan as well. Those two cheeses give it really nice balance of creamy deliciousness, and then of course that beautiful punch of flavor. More of our beautiful eggplant. We get the rest of that tomato sauce over the top. We finish it off with another layer of that mozzarella cheese and then more of that Parmesan, and guess what? That is it. It looks fantastic and it hasn't even gone into the oven. We're going to cover it with foil and then we're going to bake it for about 30 minutes. Then after that 30 minutes, we remove the foil, stick it back in for another 30 until the top is lovely and golden and wonderful. My eggplant parm has been in for 30 minutes without the foil, 30 minutes before that with the foil on. So an hour in total. Have a look at this. It is a thing of beauty. It smells unbelievable. Now you might want to let it sit for just 10 minutes or so because it's red hot. You don't want your guests burning their mouths. But I'm going to go ahead and just break on in here. Oh yes, it is cheesy and fantastic. Look at that. It almost looks a little bit like lasagna, but it couldn't be more different when you actually come to serve it. And I have a little bit of homemade pesto that I'm going to serve. Just a little dollop on the top and a little drizzle around the outside. So here we have it. Look at that deliciously cheesy and tomatoey, but gorgeous eggplant still really shines through. This will be perfect as the hero dish, or share it as a side with a big group of friends. I know you're going to really love my best ever eggplant parmigiana. For all of my best ever recipes, head to Cole's YouTube channel or coles.com.au and check out my best ever recipe playlist. I can't help myself.